What the happened to capitalism? Where have all the capitalists gone? Today, guys, this might come off as a bit of a gripe session, but somebody needs to say these things because the fabric of our free society, the economy, and our country is starting to fray and unravel at the edges. If we're not careful, we may implode and be one of the great studies of powerful empires in history that have fallen once again. We'll be right up there next to the Roman Empire, because when the mighty fall, oh, how the mighty fall. So what am I all worked up about? It's been a progressive thing, but over the last few years, I've seen a shift happening. It's a shift of thinking, a shift of personal philosophy. It seems to be a slight shift, but it's gaining momentum, and I fear it's happening on a bigger scale than I thought. I'll tell you what it is in a moment. The problem I have is that when a bad seed takes root, whether in a country, in a family, in an organization, or in an individual, it can have devastating consequences. Seeds seem so inconsequential, so insignificant, and quite frankly, so harmless. But a seed can grow into a massive tree. If that tree is too close to a building, it can decimate the foundation and destroy the building. Either I'm getting older and more crotchety, or there's a shift taking place in our society that is promoting a dangerous ideology. The philosophy that's being promoted is that of entitlement over freedom. The philosophy that since I exist, or because I exist, well then I deserve. Our Declaration of Independence states that we have been endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. First, don't let me get started on the fact that our forefathers mentioned the word Creator in the Declaration of Independence. It seems that nobody wants to acknowledge that as we try to rip God out of our schools. But that's a different topic for a different discussion. If you're enjoying this video so far, hit that thumbs up button, or if you're just a fan of capitalism, give me a thumbs up. Or hey, if you just like my shirt that my daughter got me, give me a thumbs up. Let's go back to those rights that our Creator has given us. The right to life, the right to liberty, otherwise known as freedom, and the right to pursue happiness. I want to focus on number 3 today, the pursuit of happiness. It says we have the right to pursue happiness. Pursue it, not necessarily have it. That is not a statement saying that we have the right to be happy. Nobody can guarantee that. Happiness isn't guaranteed. Success isn't guaranteed. You're not automatically entitled to anything. I am entitled to nothing. Having a right to pursue something and being entitled to it are two different things. You have a right to work, a right to start a business, to pursue higher education, to earn as much as you want and as much as you possibly can. That is capitalism. You don't have a right to have all of those things without hard work, without sacrifice, without taking risks, without the possibility of failure. The thing that kicked this rant off to begin with was a news story I saw this week where Apple is being sued by Epic Games for, well, basically because Epic Games doesn't like that Apple charges them to have an app in its iTunes store. Can you believe that? Here's my message for the Epic Games company. If you're gonna swim in the big boys pool and have your own company, you need to put on your big boy pants and learn to swim with the sharks. If you're gonna use Apple's platform and the audience and user base that they've invested time and money into creating, then you have to play by their rules. If the rules they set up are pay to play, then you pay. If you don't like it, then don't use their platform. It's your job as a company to decide which platforms are viable options for you and if it's in your best interest to use them. But don't sue Apple because you don't like their monetization methods. Epic Games is basically suing Apple because they won't change their business model for them or because they're charging too much, in their opinion, in their eyes. Here's the question for you, Epic Games. What's next in the breakdown of a free market? Do gamers and customers get to sue you because it's not fair that you have in-game purchases? After all, anything in the game is digital, so it should all be free, right? Do you see how stupid this is? The Epic lawsuit is frivolous and ridiculous. Apple should be able to charge whatever they can get consumers to pay for their devices and services, and whatever they can get businesses to pay to use their platform. Just like Epic Games should be able to charge whatever they want for their games and in-app purchases, as long as there's customers there to buy it. Otherwise, who makes the rules? Consumers? Does Rolls-Royce or Tesla have to lower their prices because it's not fair for the common person to not be able to drive one? Our society is playing in dangerous waters. I think it started really getting momentum in 2008 and 9 when the government started offering bailout packages to companies. Many of these companies got billions with a B. It's the same entitlement mentality concept that's been poisoning our society, but it's on a corporate level. When did we replace the common phrase, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, with, we better bail them out because they're too big to fail? When did we start thinking corporations were entitled to success? When did they become entitled to not go bankrupt and to not fail? That's entitlement, and it's ruining our free market, free capitalist society.
Speaking of entitlement, I know I'm not entitled to anything.
But if you're enjoying this video, please mash that subscribe button. I mean, just really pound it. Even though I'm not entitled to it, that'll help the algorithm out and help me out. Appreciate it. Back to the video. People are starting to talk about democratic socialism. If you hear one thing, hear this. There's no such thing as democratic socialism. Even if implemented, it will fall apart. Those two things are mutually exclusive like water and oil. Can I be an atheistic Christian? No. You can't believe in a God who became a man and is the savior of all mankind if you don't believe in God. It doesn't make sense, and neither does democratic socialism. But I digress. Let's go back to the corporate entitlement mentality. Let's take a look at what would actually happen if we just allowed huge companies to fail. First, they would start to fail. Then they would fire a bunch of people and try to save the ship. Finally, they would fail, they would close their doors, and everybody in the company would be jobless. Then there would be a void in the market. Then somebody would step in, take on the risk to fill the void, and start producing the product or service again. They would probably change some things to make it even better, or more profitable, or cheaper, so that they don't also fail someday. Then they would hire people and start implementing their vision, and you would possibly end up with a better product. This is the normal rise and fall of business, the ebb and flow of a free market. Companies and people must be allowed to fail. Without true failure, there is not true success. That's how it works, and quite frankly, it's the mistakes and the failures that have made me the man I am today. Not the successes, or dare I say, the things that were given to me for nothing. The entitlement mentality is corrupting our youth. This mentality that I've seen in the younger generation has only seemed like a minor issue to me, kind of like an annoyance. It wasn't until recently when I did a video on universal basic income and saw that so many people started defending that way of thinking that I realized that this thinking really is a big issue right now. This devastating philosophy has quietly infiltrated our country. The seeds of socialism have been planted, and they're slowly starting to take root. If we're not careful, and we allow this thinking to grow unchecked, it will start to crack the foundations of our society and eventually destroy it. Just like a tree that grows too close to the foundations of a building, it will happen slowly over time. I know people want change. I know not everything's perfect. So people are being sucked into this idea and clamoring for this idea of democratic socialism. You know, this has happened before. There was a thing promoted once called revolutionary socialism. See the difference? Democratic socialism, revolutionary socialism. You know, it's not socialism, it's revolutionary socialism. Do you know what that turned out to be? If you guessed communism, you're right. Capitalism is where the majority of things are owned by private companies, and socialism, ideally, is that everything is owned by the people, which in effect means it's all owned and run by the government. Of course, it's run by the government on behalf of the people, of course. Think about it. Are you ready to give politicians unchecked power? Let's not even talk about the lack of checks and balances in the system. This video won't be long enough to go into that. But let's look at how government control in our country has worked for us so far. The DMV, public education, the post office, public housing. These are all government-run or state-run institutions or businesses. They're not privately owned, but publicly owned on behalf of and for the best interest of the people. These are the best examples of how things would run if they were not privatized. I would argue that none of those things I just mentioned are particularly efficient or cutting edge when it comes to keeping up with changes in the market or in the world. Thinking that everything is going to work better the further we get from a free market is ridiculous and dangerous thinking. Okay, now that I got all that out of my system, let's talk about why sticking with capitalism and a free market is the best option and the path that we should continue on. Number one, first of all, capitalism and a free market allows for real personal growth and real achievement. It's exciting. I personally have no problem with people like Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos being worth billions of dollars. I don't have a problem with anybody making any amount. I wouldn't care if somebody became a trillionaire. If they did become a trillionaire, I'm grateful for any philanthropy that they do, but they're not obligated to do it. I think it would be dumb not to, because happiness actually comes from helping others and serving more than it does from achieving. But they shouldn't be mandated or required to give back. When people use intelligence, connections, determination, market timing, luck, and whatever else it takes to get them where they want to go, it's all good and it's all fine by me. Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett are great poster boys for capitalism and for a free market-based economy. They have shown what's possible with capitalism, what is possible in a free market society, and guess what? They both did it by clawing their way to the top. Jeff Bezos wasn't born rich, and neither was Warren Buffett. They went from nothing to billions in one lifetime. Jim Rohn said, too many people go around whining to life saying, I need. But the world responds to deserve, not to need. And it's an earned deserve. You don't deserve success because you're breathing. I already touched on that point, so I'll move on. Number 2, we can't afford it, and ignorance is bliss. People want what they call democratic socialism, but it's only because they don't really see where it will lead. They've been sold on a fantasy. It's because what they hear is everyone gets free health care, free higher education, maybe even free ongoing monthly checks in the form of universal basic income. Free. It's going to be a never-ending gravy train. But where's all the gravy coming from? Let's, again, go back to the phrase that used to be a well-known cliche. Nothing is free in this world. Nothing means nothing. Nothing is free. There isn't a loophole like nothing is free in this world, but if we set it up a little different, everything could be free, everybody could be winners, and everybody can get a trophy. No, it's a statement of absolute fact based on timeless laws of the universe. Newton said for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For everything that has value, there is a price to be paid. If you made it to this far in the video, then I'm assuming you're enjoying it, or at least getting something from it. So hit that subscribe button, smash that subscribe button, click it, whatever. But hit subscribe so you don't miss any of my future content. For everything that has value, there is a price to be paid. You want to speak another language? You got to do the work. You got to pay the price. You want to lose weight? You got to pay the price. Want to pass that test? Get certified. Learn to play the guitar, get a diploma, drive a car, learn to cook, and 1,000 other things. You gotta pay the price. Nothing is free. That goes for free money, free healthcare, free education, free love, free anything else as well. Somebody has to pay for it because it's not actually free. It costs money to educate people. It costs money to give healthcare to people. It costs money for surgeries. It costs money to build buildings, to build roads, to create infrastructure. Maybe the system we have now doesn't work that great and needs adjusted, but moving from privatization to government control is a ridiculous idea. We can't afford it, and convincing ourselves that adding the word democratic on the front of socialism changes something is ignorance. It's like having a democratically elected dictator. Sure, it's democratic the first time around. We can elect a dictator the first time around, but once someone's a dictator, then they get to go change the rules. I mean, let me be a dictator for a few years. There won't be an opportunity to vote me out. Or if there is, it'll be a rigged election, and I mean a real rigged election. Number 4, we've already had one civil war, and there are a ton of guns in this country. We saw just how divided this country was with the election of 2020. This country is divided right down the middle. Moving towards socialism and away from democracy would cause a rift in this country that could end in a civil war. While we're fighting amongst ourselves, we'd be lucky if we didn't get attacked by a foreign nation as well. All right, number 5. We got to ask ourselves, are we ready to risk the proven governmental operating system that our forefathers set up for an unproven system that we hope will work? It seems a bit naive, to say the least, to move in that direction. Hope is not a strategy. It never is, and making large societal changes based on hope is not a good idea. We are currently the superpower of the world. Our current government got us that way. Free market got us there. Capitalism got us there. Let's not roll the dice on that by throwing out capitalism, a system that's been proven to work, and replacing it with a system catered to those who have an entitlement mentality and who want to live off the hard work of others. Okay, that's enough of my ranting. Please check out one of my other videos and drop a comment in the comment section below.